Hey guys, we're gonna read Mike on Strike. All right, what's this all about? Mike on Strike. I think he wants to ask for a raise, and if his parents don't give it to him, he's gonna go on strike. I don't know if that's gonna work out for Mike, but let's read and find out. So here we have. Look at Mike. He looks like he just knows what he's doing. Keep calm and strike on. Mike on Strike. All right, so we have some keywords here: allowance, bargaining table, disturbing, exploited, leverage, metaphor, negotiate, oppressed, and warily. All right, so let's scroll down to the bottom and let's take a look at some of these words here. Allowance. That's a sum of money given out on a regular basis, usually by parents, right? And you got to work for that. Bargaining table. A time or situation in which people try to come to an agreement through negotiation. Disturbing. Troubling or causing worry. Exploited. Made use of for profit or advantage. Leverage, to use something in order to gain an advantage or desired result. Metaphor, a figure of speech that suggests how two seemingly dissimilar things are alike, right? That's a metaphor. We talked about this. It doesn't use like or as to make that comparison. Negotiate, to try to reach a formal agreement through discussion. Oppressed, burdened or treated with cruelty, especially through the unfair use of authority. And then warily, cautiously or suspiciously, right? All right, let's see what we got here. Old Mike, man, I think he's trying to pull a fast one. We will find out. All right, so here we go. Mike on Strike. Mike McCarthy was a curious guy. So curious that he wanted to buy his friend Derek's super spy kit in order to find out people's secrets. To buy the kit, though, Mike needed $25 he didn't have. I get $8 a week allowance, Derek said. At that rate, you just need 3 allowances, more or less, to pay me. $8, Mike repeated. What do you have to do to get that? Well, Derek sucked the salt from the peanut shell and shook his head. Nothing, he said. But I know how families like yours, with chores and stuff, he shrugged. How many of your allowances would it take? 10, Mike said grimly. Derek shook his head. Negotiate a raise, he said. I tried to go negotiating last month with the tooth fairy, Mike said. She was one tough customer. Derek shook his head again. Forget fairies, he said. Parents are softies by comparison. You just need to show them that you are what you bring to the table. Table, Mike asked. Math minute. Mike says it would take him 10 allowances to raise the money for Derek's spy kit. How much is his allowance now? If his allowance doubled, how many allowance would he need in order to buy Derek's spy kit? I forget how much the spy kit is. Is it $28? Right? Let's see. $25, right? Instead it would take him 10 allowances to earn 25. So I'm thinking it's $2 at least, right? That's $20. All right, that's not a lot. So his would go up to $5, I think, if you double it. But you figure that math minute out. Ooh, look. 250. Well, yeah, there it is. Answer 1, 250. So $5, right? Would go 2 to 5. I was right. Look, I'm the man. All right, here we go. The bargaining table. Derek explained. Set up for a potluck. Then think what would happen if no one brought food. Everyone would go hungry, Mike said. Sure, Derek said, but whoever hosted the next party would hire a caterer instead, so nobody would have to cook. Just what was Derek driving at? Mike had no idea. Is their food good? Mike asked. Catered food is always better than homemade, Derek said, but that's besides the point. Mike wondered if he could be true, if that could be true. His mom was a pretty good cook, and his dad's French toast was a slice of heaven. Look, Derek continued, the potluck, the caterer, the food, that's all just a metaphor. The point is that when you come to the bargaining table, you need to bring something to bargain with. I got nothing, Mike said. Well, hold on. I make good lemonade. Derek groaned in frustration. Forget the food thing. Do you do any chores? He asked. Mike nodded. Derek was the only third grader in their class with his own smartphone. He grabbed it. Talk to me, he said. We'll make a list of chores that you do. Chores you do are what you leverage, right? The chores that you do are your leverage. You use to bargain. Okay, Mike said. I take out the recycling, I make my bed, I clear the dinner table. Derek tapped away on his phone without looking up. He inquired, Any seasonal chores? Yeah, Mike said. I rake leaves and shovel snow. Mow the lawn? Derek asked. Not yet, Mike said, but I weed the vegetable garden. Pet care? Derek asked. I feed Pickles sometimes, Mike said, if my mom tells me to. Derek tapped some more, then looked up. Excellent, he pronounced. So this is what you bring to the table, see? If your parents had to pay someone else to do all of this, it cost them more than what they pay you. This is why they passed child labor laws to protect kids like you from being exploited. I didn't know that, Mike murmured. Sure, Derek said. Your parents are taking advantage of you big time. Oh, Mike said. He felt himself getting depressed. Stay with me here, Derek said, because this is all going to change really soon. You've got this list of things you do for them, and now you're going to take it to them. You're going to make your demands very clear, and if your parents refuse to meet your demands, you're going to go on strike. A strike. Okay. A strike is a form of protest in which workers refuse to work. Their goal is to force employers to meet their demands, usually better working conditions and higher pay, fewer hours. Strikes can be effective if other workers can't or won't step in to do the job. History is full of famous strikes that changed a country and sometimes the world. Railroad, mine, steel, and postal workers have held some of the most famous strikes in modern history. When postal workers marched in July 1978 for better working conditions and the right to strike, their children marched with them. The U.S. Postal Service and postal workers reached an agreement later that month. I am? Mike asked. You don't have a choice, Derek said. You don't want to be oppressed, do you? I don't know, Mike said. He didn't know what oppressed meant. He just knew he felt depressed. Derek spent the next several days coaching Mike. By the weekend, Mike felt prepped and ready to take on his parents. Parents, he began after Saturday breakfast, we need to talk. Slowly, warily, his parents' faces emerged from behind two sections of the newspaper. We're listening, said Mr. McCarthy. I bring a lot of value to this family, Mike said. We agree, his dad said. Wait, Mike said. Don't you want to hear what my value is? We know your value, Mrs. McCarthy said. We love you, honey. Mike thrust his warm feelings aside. The point is, he preserved, you should raise my allowance. He pushed a list of his chores across the table to them. Let's negotiate, he said. I demand $8 a week. Stop right there, Buster, said his mom. Nobody in this family makes demands. They do if they're oppressed, Mike said. Mrs. McCarthy snorted. Mr. McCarthy raised a hand to cover his grin. If my demands aren't met, Mike said, I'll go on strike. You can do that, his dad said, but you realize that while you're on strike, you won't get paid. Mike swallowed. So it goes, he said, and so it went. For the next 2 weeks, Mike did no chores at all. When it was time to clear the dishes off the table, he cleared out of the room. When it was time to take out the recycling, he took a hike. At first, he was amazed to get away with it. By the third week, though, Mike began to notice something disturbing. He was spending less time with his family and consequently missing out on stuff. He heard the clink of silverware when his little sister asked her help his mom load up the dishwasher. He heard them laughing. What was so funny? If he had the spy kit, he would know. Then, again, if he were helping with chores, he would know. He wouldn't have to spy. You know, Mike said during the fourth week, I'm ready to start my chores again if you're ready to raise my allowance. His parents looked at each other. Nope, his dad said. We're good. The following Saturday, Mike woke to a special muffled hush, the singular silence of snow. The world outside his window was transformed into a sparkling wonderland. The driveway and the walks were buried. But his dad was already outside clearing the front porch to locate the newspaper. Normally, Mike would rise now and pull on his boots and help. Instead, he watched his mom and Astor emerge in hats and mittens. Astor was wielding Mike's shovel. All of them were working and laughing together. Laughing again. Why were they laughing this time? They started throwing snowballs. Mike watched, his head on his hand, and realized he was lonely. At that moment, he wanted nothing more than to feel like part of this family again. But then he realized something else. Sometimes, to feel like part of something, you have to do your part. Mike walked downstairs. He put on his boots and scarf, his hat and coat, his gloves. He walked outside and gently took the shovel from his sister. He worked on the sidewalk for a solid 20 minutes before anybody said a word to him. Returning to the house, though, his dad patted his shoulder. "Welcome back, buddy," he said. Mike didn't get a raise that particular Saturday. He did, however, get a heavenly French toast breakfast and all the laughs that no allowance could buy. Okay, so you guys are going to do somebody wanted something, but so then what? Ooh, I know what that somebody is, and I know what he wanted, and I know what the but is. I know what the so, and I know what the then what is. I know the whole thing. All right. So you can read along with me, and then I want you to reread it on your own. I want you to fill out your somebody wanted something, but so then. Okay. All right. Tadero out.